Jason, thank you.
G'day, I'm Jason. I'm from Stanhope in the western suburbs. Selfish question. I've got a second-year uni student at home. My concern is, so with the Liberal Party's position on immigration and students from overseas, how will those universities pick up the shortfall, and will my son's uni fees increase?
Jason, the short answer
Thanks,
is...
Jason.
Thanks, mate. Thank you. The short answer is no, because what we do as a government is we provide that funding to universities, and obviously there's a help scheme where students are paying for part of their own education as well. What we've done, though, is that we've said, under the government's program, they've brought in about 1 million people over the last 2 years. Now, that's a higher number, in fact, by 70% higher than any 2-year period in our country's history. The government will bring in under the migration program, so this big Australia policy that Anthony never spoke anything about before the last election. That will be about 2 million people over 5 years, a population bigger than Adelaide. So if we ask why we've got a housing crisis and why it's difficult, we can point to that because there's massive demand for housing and Australian kids are missing out and rents are up by about 18%. I want desperately to make sure that we get an opportunity for young people to believe in and achieve again the dream of home ownership. There are about 42 international students coming into our country for every one student accommodation unit that's been approved, and that has had a big impact. So it doesn't impact on the cost of a domestic student going to university, but it will change the dynamic within many universities because, for example, at the Sydney University, you've now got a much higher mix in terms of international students to domestic students, which changes the dynamic on campus. But I want to make sure that we can get Australian kids into housing as quickly as possible. We can't do that because, obviously, if 1 million people come here over 2 years, they want a house for themselves and their family as well. And the government just hasn't been building the housing.
Jason, you happy with that? And if you've got a question for the Prime Minister as well?
I've got a follow-up question just in regards to part of Australia, our way of life is sharing our way of life with the rest of the world. So part of our humanity is doing good. And so us training other people from all around the world gives them an open opportunity to witness our Australianism. And so by not allowing those students to come to Australia, it actually hurts our brand worldwide.
We've had quite a... Indeed, thanks, Jason. We've had quite a few, as you know, Mr Dutton, foreign students become ministers, prime ministers. It's a good soft power tool, isn't it?
Kieran, look, I think we are not only the best country in the world, but I think we've been made better because of our migration story. When you look at the migration story to our country, particularly since the Second World War, people have come out of war-torn Europe, people have come out of Asia, all parts of the world. We're an incredibly lucky country for it. But the numbers of international students have increased by 65% over the course of the last couple of years. Now, that is a dramatic increase. So I'm all in favour of a well-managed migration program, but I'm not in favour of what the Prime Minister has done by flooding the market, and a person is coming in every 44 seconds into our country, and we haven't got the housing to accommodate that. We need to get the sequencing right, and it's why we're putting $5 billion into a program to create 500,000 new homes.